Right, so let's look at some more complicated interactions in this app. So the first one is, if we quickly refresh the page. So the first one is, let's put a to-do in called hello, right? And I'm going to click the add button now. So we've seen update to-do text. We're no stranger to that. Cool. So now we find a different action, to-dos / add to-do, and we see the hello to-do up here, right? So let's first off, let's look. So we've got this action here, and if we look at the store, the next state of the store, to-dos, to-do array is 1, and what's in there, there's this thing, and we're rendering that. Let's have a look at how the reducer did that. So add to-do came in, and we said, okay, we want to return the existing state we have. So it's like a pretty normal thing. We're like, we don't want to like rock the boat too much. We're going to keep most of the state we had before, but we're going to override some things. So in this example, we're at the top level, we're overriding 2 things, to-dos and currently editing to-do. So actually we'll start with currently editing to-do. Now, maybe you're thinking, why are you editing currently editing to-do? Which is, it's a good point. We're doing it because we want to clear out the text that's in the box. So I'd written hello, and you might have noticed when I pressed enter, this box is now empty again. So we can see that here. Text goes back. So if we look before, it was hello. Now it's empty. And because the props change and this input has its value bound to whatever this text is, it's just updated. React's re-rendered it. It's been like, oh shit, the value is now empty, so I'm going to make this box empty. So that's what this bit's for. So currently editing to do should equal initial state currently editing to do. Initial state currently editing to do has an empty text and a completed false. We're just resetting that part of the state back to how it started, which was empty. So that's cool. The more complicated thing here is the to-dos key. So we're saying, okay, the to-dos are going to be, so now we're spreading into an array. So far we've been spreading into an object. Now we're spreading into an array. So we're saying, let's create a new array and let's put all the old to-dos that were in that array in here. Now in this example, that array was already empty. So you spread an empty array into an array, you get an empty array. So it's like not that important for this particular example, but it's saying keep the existing to-dos that were there and add one more. And I'm going to have I'm going to add to the end an object which has the currently editing to-do in it. So I'm going to spread that in. What did that look like? It had a completed false, and it had the it was up here actually, completed false, and it had text hello. So we're going to get an object with this shit in, right? And then we're going to add an ID, and let's not worry too much about this, but this goes and calculates a new ID given all the to-dos we have. So I mean, in this case you can actually see what it produced. It produced ID 1, right? If you add a second to-do, the ID will be 2. Kind of a boring bit of code that we needed. So this is really simple. We're saying like keep the existing to-dos, but let's have a new object on the end in the array. You can see the end of the array brackets here, and then we're saying add the currently editing to-do, so the one we were just literally entering. Add all of that in, but let's also put an ID in it, and we'll calculate that ID. So that's how you get your new to-do. Let's quickly run through some of the other interactions. So if I complete this one, you'll see to-dos complete to-do fired with a payload of 1. So what did that one do? So complete to-dos. So that says, okay, I'm going to keep all the state. You can see the trend emerging here. You never really want to throw away your state because you're normally just making a small modification. The to-dos are going to be complete to-do. So I've written a function. So you can totally call functions in here. That's called complete to-do. With the to-dos that are currently in state and the payload, which was an ID, so it was number 1. So complete to-do. Okay, interesting. So it takes to-dos and it takes to-do ID. It uses Lodash to find the to-do. It finds the index of the to-do that has that ID. I tell you what. So we hit complete, and we've come in here. So the to-dos, just 1. Hello ID 1, the to-do ID 1. So we're saying find the index inside the to-dos where the to-do is that has an ID which is equal to number 1. Right now, the to-dos has only got one thing in, so the answer is going to be 0. Let's have a look. Yep, the answer is 0. And so then we're doing this logic here. So this isn't a great example. Let's quickly do a more complicated example so you can see it in the more general case. So I'm going to add some. I'm going to add some more to-dos. Right, so I've added one B, C, D, E. I'm gonna complete C, so it's like right in the middle here. Cool. So the to-dos list is now much longer because I added a bunch of them. So there's C, has an ID of 4. Which one are we completing? Number 4, right? So find index is 3. So the index at number 3 is C, which was the one we were completing. So this variable here, to do index, is the index in the array of the one that we want to complete. So then we're like, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to return, let's new array, and we're going to spread some shit into it. So if you've not seen slice, slice is like a non-destructive way of getting a sub part of an array. So slice 0 to do index gets you everything in to-dos. Let's have a look at to-dos. It gets you, so we're talking about number 3. So slice 0 to do index will get you this bit, the bit before, and this slice statement, which is to do index plus 1, that'll get you everything after. So I always have to look this up because it's like not that intuitive, but basically like Dan, the guy that created Redux, he has like it's a pretty good, but it's kind of like difficult to get into. He covers this pretty well in his Egghead IO series if you're interested. But basically what I'm doing is I'm slicing before the 3 and after the 3, and I'm spreading those things in. And then in the middle, so I'm spreading that before, and I'm spreading this at the end. And in the middle, I'm saying, okay, I want to go grab that to do. Let's go look at what that looks like on the console. So yeah, the C to do. I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to spread that into the object. So I'm going to keep everything as it was. Great, but I'm going to override one thing, which is completed true. So when you evaluate this, it will look just like this, but completed is going to be true now. So completed here is false. That's going to flip to true, but you're not actually changing it, right? You're spreading it, so you're copying everything into a new one. So you're not mutating anything, so you're good. So basically, this is the rule of the game. You spread everything all the time. So we've said let's keep the ones before the one we want to complete. Let's keep the ones after the one we want to complete. Let's duplicate the one that we want to complete, but this time let's override completed and say actually now completed is true. So So now here in the right hand side, you can see what that returned. And it returned an array of 6 things like before. If we look at number 3, completed is true. The rest are all as they were. So number 3, completed is true now. Right, so then if we hit play, then you'll see that here. So I completed the to-do, payload 4. And if we look at to-dos, number 3 is now completed. And when one's completed, you get completed exclamation mark. The React component will have some code which is looking at the props, and it will map over the to-dos, and it will be looking at that completed, doing like to-do.completed and saying, oh, if it's true, then do this, right? So the component's really stupid still. It's just literally rendering whatever's in here, and if you set to a computer to be completed to be true, then it will show that on the screen. But this is kind of dumb. You need to think about the Redux state you want to get to and write the code to make it happen. And then if you get your log statements in here looking right, writing your Redux component to connect to it and do it with props is not that hard, right? If you already know Redux, it's pretty straightforward. It's just like this.props. Whatever. So that's completing. What else we got? Delete. I won't go through these ones in such detail, but delete, the last one. Delete is very similar. So you say you're going to have a similar payload. Let's delete one. Let's delete this one. So you're going to have a similar payload. It's delete to do payload 4. And we do an underscore, a low dash reject, which literally says go get all the so here are the to-dos. So we're saying keep all the existing state. It's probably spotting a pattern here. Grab the to-dos out of there and reject the ones where the ID matches. Now that will return all of them except for the one that matches. So we lose the one that matches, but reject doesn't mutate to-dos. It returns a new array with all of the to-dos in except for the one that matches. So you're okay to use reject because it doesn't actually change the array. It returns a brand new copy with one rejected, one missing. And that's fine. And so then when we look at the to-dos here, you've now only got 5, and like C's gone missing from the list. So we go straight from B to D. And that's it. So that's how reducers work. These sorts of patterns are quite common depending on what you're doing. Lots of spreading, sometimes spreading into objects, sometimes spreading into arrays. You're looking. You can use Lodash functions that don't mutate. You can use spreading. You can use slice. You can really use anything you want as long as you don't like assign things and mutate things to get the state to be how you want it. And that's it. And then after that's easy because you're like, once you see the correct state in the console down here with the login, then you're like done. You just connect props up, bam, render it on the screen.